ready?
Are you ready?
Yeah, let's roll. All right, welcome to another episode of the Greatness Podcast brought to you by Sky Insurance Brokers. I'm Eric Scholey, and with me is...
Megan May.
And today we have a fantastic guest that I'm excited to get into some really good conversation with. But we have the pleasure of having Corry Mendoza on the podcast with us.
We're so excited.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. Very exciting.
Yes, thank you. I'm very excited that we're able to get this on the calendar, as I know you and I discussed that we had to reschedule a couple of times, but I'm happy that we both stuck with it. And
A couple squared.
To find a time to make this work because, your skill sets and the conversations that we're going to probably get into here will be pretty powerful for what's going on in the world right now and really locally here.
Yeah.
So I always like to start off every podcast, though, by just really learning a little bit more about you personally. So before we get into all the in-depth conversation, just you in general, background, where you were born, whatever you want to share personally. I always find it intriguing to learn a little more about people.
All right. So we have about 2 hours for the intro. Okay.
2 hours and 45 minutes starting now.
Okay. So I was born and raised in Atwater, California,
Okay.
which is in the Central Valley, Merced
Beautiful
County.
Atwater.
Yes, the armpit of California, gateway to Yosemite.
It's like that Morgan Wallen song, I Can't Love You More Than My Hometown, Atwater, California.
I actually have a very dear place in my heart for Atwater. My parents still live in the same house I was raised in.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm a middle child, only girl. And now
Your
I'm
brothers.
yes, older and younger.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did you get beat up a lot as a kid?
We all beat up on each other
Yeah.
and took a
I put my
beating.
money
Good.
on you. So
Yeah,
Good.
yeah. I definitely could throw down. So
Good.
Yeah. So now I'm up here. I mean, there's a lot more in between, but I'm up here in Northern California, Roseville. Married to my better half and my dream come true, Rusty Mendoza.
Who I will give a plug is an incredible person, and one of my dear friends as well. So
Yeah.
can't say enough good things about Rusty.
And a future podcast guest.
Yes,
And
yes.
another one that
Spoilers.
we
Yeah.
were able to nail down on the calendar that I'm excited to get on the future podcast as well.
Yeah. We have 4 children. We're a blended family. So I have the 2 olders, and then the youngers are my bonus children. So
Nice.
yeah, it's actually kind of cool. Our kids are SJJS. So Skylar, Jaden, James, and Stella.
Nice.
Nice.
Works well.
Yeah, so the 2 girls are the bookends, and they're exactly 10 years apart to the day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
How long have you guys been married for?
Oh my gosh. I think this April will be 5 years.
Okay, so they are,
nice.
I don't know if anyone that follows them on Facebook, they are the marriage couple that you're like, I want to have a marriage like that one day when I grow up. They're like honeymoon phase for 5 years now. It's like, you always see people for 6 months.
I know.
posting. I know, they're
I'm
adorable.
jealous.
They
My
are.
husband and I never had a honeymoon period.
Well,
You shot right
I
in the...
know. We were friends for 4 years first, so honeymooning was not
Obviously,
a
I
thing.
shot, being divorced, I shot right through the honeymoon period myself, and it just didn't work out very well, let's be honest.
Well, thanks a lot. That doesn't bode well.
So yeah, no, they have a phenomenal phenomenal relationship that I'm sure they're a good example for their children.
Yeah.
So.
well, we're the that country song "God Bless the Broken Road That Led Me Straight to You." So this is my 3rd and final marriage, and this is
you go.
Rusty's 2nd marriage.
Yep.
So we've learned a lot, and there's been a lot of brokenness that we bring into the. We know to prioritize our marriage. We know our priorities, but we've had to learn that through pain and suffering. So
Sometimes that's what it takes. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it got you here, so that's what
yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
Any hobbies you enjoy?
Oh yeah. My personality is I love to do everything. So right now my hobbies are aside from like spending time with our kids, family is I love tennis.
Okay.
Rusty got into tennis, I think, in 2017 after 20 years of not playing since high school. And then he just like go big or go home, And then I picked it up as well. So that's.
Was that your first time playing, or did you used to play?
No,
as well?
I played. I wasn't very good in high school, but I played my freshman and sophomore year.
Okay.
Nice.
So I hadn't played for probably 22, 23 years.
Wow.
And I love it. So it's really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. I know you guys outdoors. You kayak.
yeah.
You guys kayak and all that as well.
We hike.
Nice.
I love yoga. I can barely get Rusty in there, but yeah, we're athletes. Work out, running, hiking. We need to get bikes again. We had them, and there's a whole funny story how we don't have them anymore, but that's another podcast. We're very active and adventurous. We're both extremely adventurous. So we're going to go backpacking here pretty soon.
Nice.
Yeah.
Where are you planning to go?
I don't know. Rusty will figure that out.
Destination wilderness or something.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Yeah, and yoga's no joke. So in Rusty's defense, I've tried it once.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I love it.
And I think it's just maybe the male's body structure. It is so hard to hold your own body weight as a guy. I was in there once, and I remember I was trying to hold probably a very basic pose, and I'm shaking, and sweat's coming down. And I look over, and there was like a 78-year-old lady that's just like a swan, just holding the position, no problem. And I'm thinking, this is not for me.
I took a yoga class in college, and I loved it. It was so nice, but I was the same. Downward dog. Man, that thing sucks.
Yeah. It's a different type of workout.
Yeah.
The mindset.
But you feel so good after.
Yeah, it's amazing. But it also causes like us to face our ego, like our dark side. It brings up a lot. Sometimes at the end of class, I will just like cry, or other people too. Like it opens your heart. It's a lot more than just the physical aspect.
Right.
So.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Well, good. Well, thank you for sharing that. So I'm excited to have you on this show because I know you have a very diverse background that has many different strokes or colors, whatever the terminology you want, within the industry of real estate, mortgage, and leadership.
Yeah.
So I want you to just touch a little bit kind of on your, not resume, but maybe resume for better words, of just some of the things. I know we were talking a little bit before we actually started recording on just some of those, because I think you bring a very diverse skill set that's kind of brought you to where you're at today, that I think will set the stage for really where I want to have conversation with you is mindset and leadership, which I know is a specialty of yours. So would you just share a little bit, because I know you've been in real estate, mortgage, operation side, title, I mean kind of the whole gamut, which is obviously a pretty big assortment of tools that you've equipped yourself with. So
well, when I became a young adult, I really didn't go to college. I didn't have anybody kind of guiding me. And so I, like many people, the most underserved population, I think, is 18 to 25-year-olds. You're making all these life decisions, and if you don't have counsel and wisdom and adults and leaders kind of guiding you through, you could end up on a path similar to mine. And the one scripture, it's a proverb from the Hebrew Bible that talks about, it says that a man's gift will make room for him. It will put him before great men. And I think the original context that had to do with like giving a gift, but that scripture always spoke to me about using my talents. Like my gift will make room for me. It will put me before great people. And that's kind of what happened. I failed my way forward. Started out in banking as a teller, then got into retail. Then I landed a very weird job doing loan servicing for private notes. I had no idea what it was.
Like hard money?
Hard money lending. The only reason that I applied for it was because my daughter was born. I was in retail, and I wanted a schedule that would work for my kid.
Yeah.
Yes.
So in loan servicing, I was there for about 3 years, and I ended up getting recruited by a title company. I became a title rep, and that was the first time I was in a job where I felt pretty unleashed to be my true authentic self, because it's very social. You're selling. You need to be strategic and hit goals, but it's very relationship driven.
Right.
So I did that for 3 years, and then, but I'm always a person, I want to grow, and I want to know vision, like what's next for me. So I outgrew that within 2.5. Well, within 2 years, I was already like, what's next? So I ended up getting recruited by a staffing company, the staffing company that placed me in title. And I did that for 6 months, and that was another square peg, round hole, like the loan servicing thing.
Yeah.
It
Wasn't a good fit.
It was not a good fit. So within 6 months, I'm like, a lot of things in life, it's like we have to know when to push forward or when to pivot.
Absolutely.
Right.
And so I was like, pivot.
And it's a strong talent to know the difference and to understand, like, hey, this isn't working out for me. It's not worth it for either party.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
be brave enough to make that decision. 'Cause
Right.
You'll see a lot of people that'll be stuck in
Stay.
that,
Exactly.
they call it the rat race or whatever, but stuck in that
Stay
position that
forever.
they hate, they know they're
Yeah.
not meant for, but they just
Exactly.
do it because they're afraid of the unknown.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so then from there, I ended up selling real estate. Now, I had my real estate license. I got it when I was in that loan servicing company. When I was floundering, like I was really good at what I was doing, but I wasn't challenged. So I got my real estate license, but it was just dormant. It was just like in a file in my office. And then... So then when staffing wasn't working, I was like, okay, I'm going to sell real estate. I sold it for a year. And then after a year, I got recruited by a local company to come in and become a productivity coach and to coach realtors.
Okay.
And then once I got this coaching title, which I didn't even understand what it meant, I started buying all these books on coaching. What is coaching, how to do it. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I'm on path, and I've never gotten off this path since. I mean, I ended up leaving because, again, I wasn't challenged. I was very successful, and within 2 years, I was like, I want to coach more than just realtors. So then I started coaching title reps, lenders, insurance agents, and then from there, I was like, no, I still want to coach more.
Yeah.
And so then I started my own firm, and then from there, I've just been doing that ever since.
And so now, like today, you're coaching not only people in the industries of real estate, mortgage, insurance, but really all industries of business focus, personal, all the above.
Yeah. So, oh my gosh. Oh, there's so much to say here. I get so excited. So now my passion is really working with teams, working with leaders, and at the heart of it, to put it really simply, I love to help people get along. I love to help them thrive. I mean, most problems in organizations are people problems.
Sure.
So, so I work with government agencies. I've worked in healthcare. I still do a lot in real estate. One time I was working with pharmacists, and I'm like, how did I end up here? I'm like, oh, because they're people and they have to get along. So, yeah.
Oh, that's
so,
fun.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
yeah.
That's
so.
good. Well, good. Well, I know the topic I really want to get into, being that we're 2022, halfway through the year here, and we're seeing a big shift in the marketplace, right? So, in our industry, insurance, but let's cover real estate and mortgage.
Right.
The last 5 to 6 years have been pretty incredible for anyone in the industry. It was pretty hard not to succeed, in my opinion. Obviously there are some of those stories, but they were riding high. So when you see a market shift, an economy shift, and just really the landscape change fairly quick, but also going to be changing more and more as we move forward. It's just really important to really wrap your head around leadership, the mindset, how to navigate these markets, because especially if someone got in this industry in the last 5 or 6 years and they don't know any different, it can come at them like a Mack truck.
Oh, yeah.
And even if they were on any other day equipped and have the skill sets to navigate it, it might just catch them so off guard that they're not, let's go use that word again, able to pivot, right? And try to maneuver and find avenues and verticals that are going to help them succeed in the new marketplace. So I thought you'd be a perfect guest on here to really dive into some of these topics that you're seeing some of the, then you can drill down and I'll kind of just, throw this at you, and you can kind of take this wherever you want when it comes to this. But, the power of mindset, how to focus, how to set that roadmap for yourself and be able to pivot, and how to succeed and be confident in this marketplace, right? If you're going from, closing 15, 20 deals a month, making all this money to going, my phone's not ringing, no one wants to do business with me, what am I going to do? That could be humbling and hard to transition. So
this is a huge topic, and I think I want to tackle it kind of on two ends. One end is just kind of mindset and navigating it through having a creative mindset, and then the other end is kind of a big perspective that has to do with your identity and your role in the world.
Okay.
So
love it.
Yeah, so on the first side, mindset, all of us we have different personality styles, and some personality styles are going to have an easier bent towards being creative and adaptable. So there's a lot of personality assessments out there. I think the easiest one to start really sinking your teeth into and using as a skill the rest of your life is DISC. There's any, pick one.
Yeah.
Just pick any of them. But and go deep with whatever tool you decide. But for me, my whole life, I always had unconscious competence around being creative. So when I wrote a book, Monday Motivations, one of the stories in there is called Pig Story. When I was in 10th grade, I decided I wanted to join FFA. And I had never raised a pig before, didn't grow up on a ranch, but my best friend Kylie, she was going to raise a pig. So, and my family didn't have very much money. So I sign up for the class, the or whatever, biology. I don't even remember the name of it, but and so then it's the day I remember they go, oh, okay, Saturday you're going to come pick out your pig. And I'm like, great, I'm going to raise a pig. I'm going to, pick it out. And they're like, and bring a cashier's check for $220. And like, I didn't have the money. And so like, I'm stressing out about this. Every day I'm walking to school. Where am I going to get the money? Where am I going to get the money? So then one day I'm walking home from school and I'm like, where can I get money? A bank. I'm just going to go into a bank and ask for some money. I'm going to ask for a loan. So 10th grade, I walk down Bellevue Boulevard in Atwater, California. I walk into County Bank, no adults, no help, nothing. And I just walk up to the teller and I said, who makes the decisions here? And she says, what? I'm like, who makes the decisions here? And she goes, the branch manager. I'm like, I need to speak to him. And she's like, okay. So she
Probably
walks.
thinking, this 10-year-old's about to hold me up here.
10th grade.
10th grade's about to hold me up and rob us here. This is going to get unique.
So I go into it felt like walking into the principal's office because as I walk in, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't have a plan. So anyways, I sit down and he's like, well, what can I do for you? I'm like, here's my story. I tell him the story. I'm like, look, I get good grades. I can bring you a copy of my report card. I was like, I would like to borrow $220. When I sell my pig, I will pay you back. And I could just see the look on his face. Now as an adult, I know like he was like, this is adorable or something. Right. Like he just had a heart for me. So he's like, okay, I need your parent to come in with you, bring me a copy of your report card. And, he loaned me the money and there's more to the, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a really neat story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and there's more to it because as I raised my pig, by the time I sold it, there was a lot of other pitfalls along the way. Like I didn't realize you have to have a buyer.
Right.
We weren't raised raising animals, so I didn't know where do I get a buyer. So again, walking to and from school, like worried, how am I going to do this? Well, there was a grocery store on the way home. And I'm like, meat department. So I walk into Lucky Grocery Store. I say, who makes the decisions here? And then they said, the store manager. I'm like, I need to speak to him. His name is Ray Torres. He happened to be somebody my mom went to high school with. Oh. I didn't know it at the time. But I tell him my story, and I'm like, can the meat department buy my pig? Because, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it makes
Right.
perfectly good sense.
Yes.
Not, but whatever.
When you're in
Yeah,
10th
when-
grade. It
yeah.
makes perfect sense.
Well, guess what? He bought my pick.
Oh, that's
Oh,
so
nice.
sweet.
So that little story is basically, how do you respond to this market?
Sure.
Right.
You got to think about who. Like, who do I know, or who would help me, or who do I need to be to navigate? And I mean, I think having a creative mindset is about like being curious. Don't ask, is this possible or impossible? A lot of people, when the market shifts, they're like, they just start thinking of all these barriers and reasons why. And it starts by believing this is possible.
Right.
I am going to navigate this. There is a way, and creativity will come.
Yeah. Well, and it speaks volumes for your determination. Because in 10th grade, if I had gotten a pig and had to sell it, I would have been like, I don't know what to do. I guess we're keeping a pig.
Yeah,
You know?
well, and the
But you were
pressure,
determined.
I would have
because
named it and got emotionally connected to it.
I did.
And it never would have been sold. That's why I was going to do a
did.
cow when I was younger.
I did.
And I was
His
like,
name
I
was
don't, I'm going to be able to sell
Elijah.
it. Yeah. Send it to slaughter. It's like,
So
no.
hard.
Little Betty Joe's not going anywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
but
was
determination, definitely
Yeah.
strong on that.
Well, and
list.
it was
They go
fearful.
hand in hand.
totally. It was when I didn't know I needed a buyer, and when the closer the fair came, and I hear other kids talking about who their buyer was, I was like, oh my gosh! I promised the branch manager that I would, pay him back, and it's like, so, and that's the thing. The same thing in real estate and lending. I mean, my husband does loans. He's been doing it for 20 years. And this kind of starting to shift gears about identity.
Sure.
Like, who are you? If you're a professional, you are the leader. Like
Right.
you think you're scared. How do you think your clients feel?
Correct.
Right.
And I mean, I have a thing on professionals. I have a whole thing. It's a different podcast, but professionals, I feel like it's so easy for professionals to charge people money and not lead them to make wise decisions.
Sure.
As a lender or a real estate agent, you are navigating people to make their own decisions.
Right.
Like, and when the market shifts and things get tight, they stop thinking about their role and they start thinking about their bank account.
Correct.
They go into fear
Correct.
mode.
Fear mode. Exactly.
And honestly, if we really own, like, I am passionate about developing people. Put whatever title you want on it, coach, trainer, speaker, author, I don't care what you call it. My purpose on the planet is to connect with people, to inspire them, to challenge them to develop their authentic God-given personality skills, and to thrive in this world in relationships with each other. That's what I'm put on the planet for. So if you're a real estate agent, it's like, connect your identity, your role, and your passion with your work. It's not a paycheck. It's like, you don't have to worry about paying your bills because you're so passionate about what you do. Everybody needs a loan to buy a house, and nobody is ever going to not want to buy a house.
Right.
Correct.
Some people won't and shouldn't.
Right.
There's always a reason people need to move. Always.
Always.
A million reasons. So
Always.
You're exactly right. And I talk about this often, and I think this is another way of saying what you just said, but the people that are divided by the scarcity mindset and the abundance mindset, that's like the fear or confidence, right? And I think that's more important than ever when there's a market shift, because the people that are the scarcity, that work out of fear, that are focused on their bank accounts, they internalize, right? And they kind of curl up in a ball to an extent, and that creativity, that determination takes a secondary role and gets clouded. Their judgment gets clouded.
Yeah.
Where, and you could tell right away in talking with someone, when I'm out meeting with lenders or realtors, and I know their market shifted, I know they're not as busy as they were a year ago. I could tell within the first minute where they fall on what side of the fence on that.
Right.
And just the people that have that abundance mindset, they're already looking for, because they know there's going to be opportunities. Now,
Yeah.
where are these opportunities, and how am I going to go about it?
Yeah.
Where's the lucky meat guy, or where's the banker that I can go talk
Yeah.
to and find opportunities to be able to still deliver what I do and serve.
Right.
Exactly.
There's that, I think it Albert Einstein quote, strive not to be a success, but to be a value. And every day somebody's having, like, how many people they need help making a decision about buying or selling.
Yeah.
Be an educator, and I get it. Like, I don't want to sound like I'm not compassionate about it. Is scary when the market shifts.
Sure.
And we can be grateful to say, oh, when things are tight, it squeezes me and exposes the unhealthy habits that I've had.
Sure.
It also exposes areas that my character can develop. Like, fear is a gift. Like, let's look at the fear and go, what are my insecurities? What are my limiting beliefs?
And how did I get here?
Yeah.
And let's
Getting uncomfortable.
reevaluate. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's funny because I had a conversation. So this morning I was in East Sac and I did a cold plunge. Have you ever done this?
Yes.
Okay,
oh,
so-
yeah. We used to do them in our backyard.
They're
Rusty's
amazing.
crazy,
Oh yeah.
and
So
I
actually, I
followed
was going
him.
to talk to Rusty about it because it was
Oh, yeah.
incredible. 3 minutes. I thought I was going to die the first time. My lungs shut down. I couldn't breathe. I was trying to tell the person I need help, and I didn't know what to do. But anyways, my whole thing is challenging and getting outside the comfort zone. I was just having this conversation with this person this morning that, the Western civilization, our whole goal, and it's like our mindset is comfort. How do we stay in this zone? It limits growth.
Yeah.
It limits, a lot of things where you get some of these other regions or cultures, like, here we go, Doodle's good. Eastern, they embrace that. They embrace being outside of the comfort zone. They embrace the struggle because that's where real growth happens. I think you and I have actually talked about this on your podcast as well. And I think it's so important. And that's just, again, looking at this from a different lens, because you're exactly right. It does squeeze those unhealthy habits and take this opportunity as an opportunity to grow. And it might hurt. It probably is going to hurt a little bit, right? And it's not supposed to be easy.
Yeah.
But this is the time where you need to buckle down and try to rise to the occasion and find those opportunities because they're out there.
Yeah.
You just got to go find them.
Yeah. And getting curious where there's a will, there's a way. So, like, right now, like, look around and count how many yellow things you see. Okay, stop. How many green things did you see?
Oh, well, none because I was looking for yellow.
Exactly. So the mind is like a Google search engine.
Right.
Whatever we tell it to look for, it will find.
Yeah.
So if we start to believe there's not enough houses or interest rates are going up, buyers are not going to buy, like, so we believe that and we're like, here's why I can't. And then we just start looking for all the reasons why. We build a case.
Correct.
Right.
We build a case
And we want
for
to be right,
something.
so we're going to try to confirm it.
Yes. So my question is, what case are we building?
Yeah, that's
Are
a good
we
way to look at it.
building a case for why something is possible or why something isn't possible?
Yeah.
And I heard this on, I think, like one of those school cast motivational things, but if we argue for our limitations, we get to keep them.
That's
I
good.
like that.
I like that a lot. Well, good. Let's take a short break real quick, and when we come back, I want to dive more into this topic a little bit more in depth. So we'll be right back. Thank you. All right, welcome back to the Greatness Podcast. We are talking with Corry Mendoza, and we're currently discussing mindset, focus, ways to view. And really search. I know you gave a pretty neat story of having us look around the room for certain colors and only finding the colors that we were looking for. So so I just wanted to, as we get back here, continue on this conversation because I think it's everything, and especially with what's going on right now, it's more important than anything right now for people to be able to pivot and be able to serve their community in whatever line of work they're in and their clientele. So.
When I managed restaurants for a while, we had a training thing, and they had talked about, your reaction to something is how your outcome is going to be affected. You can have something bad happen to you, and if you have a bad reaction to it, it's going to be a bad outcome. But depending on your reaction is how you're gonna, the outcome of what's gonna happen in your life or whatever it is. So that just makes me think of like our whole conversation here. It's all about your reaction and how you choose to deal with it. So
if we're leaders, it's not that leaders know the answer or they know what to do, but real leaders are pioneers and they're creators.
Mm-hmm.
So they face reality, they look at the facts, and then they go, what can we create from this?
Right.
So like, okay, what if something changes and you're not allowed to get a loan ever again?
Yeah.
Okay, so what then? Well, you create from that.
Right.
Like who you are and your gifts and talents. If you were in the first century, think about what you would do with your life back then.
Yeah.
You know, with all those limits. Like it's really about who we are and how we are serving humanity. How are we serving our relationships at home, our community? And if we think about who we are and how we can serve and solve, you know, that will help us be, I think, a more effective leader. So I want to be a leader. I don't want to be the person that's terrified, curls in a ball, and is like, what do I do now?
Yeah.
Leaders have, I mean, all this stuff is like so regurgitated over and over
Sure.
again, but it's so true. Like leaders have courage. They act in spite of fear. Like go shaking, go scared. Like when I first started selling real estate, when Zillow, I think, first came out, they used to do this thing. It wasn't for sale by owner, but they would try to, like, the seller would sell it themselves. And that was like first when Zillow first came out. I would literally be shaking because I knew I didn't know anything about real estate other than I had my license, but I would knock on their door and I would totally do what I needed to do to build a relationship. And so you serve. I was like, I want to help. I'm a real estate agent. Not now, but back then. I have access to the MLS. Like, what can I do to help you sell your house by yourself if that's what you want to do? And then it just led into a relationship. It led into listings.
Sure.
So
That's awesome.
Yeah, no, that's good. Have you, do you know who Simon Sinek
yes.
is or whatever?
Oh, I love
so
him.
What you were just made me think of, you know, that is, I think it was really big TED Talk that put him on the map, but
Oh, yeah.
start with the why.
Start with why.
And then kind of everything else kind
Yeah.
of falls into place. And
Yeah.
so correct me if I'm wrong, but that's something that someone can do is get back to really their why and what's their purpose in what they're doing for work and how can they best serve or give that gift they have out. Right. And I always say, you know, chase success and not money, because money is the byproduct of success.
Yes.
Right? That'll come if you're doing what
Yes.
you're good at and you're enjoying and you're being efficient at it. The finances usually fall into place at that point.
I have so much I want to say about that. So 2 things. One is I remember one time I was in line at the grocery store a long, long time ago, and Chelsea Clinton was getting married, and there was a picture of her wedding cake on Time magazine, and I think it was like they were listing it. She bought it for $350,000 or some enormous amount of money. But I remember thinking, whoever baked that cake used to be in the kitchen spilling flour on the ground. It used to be a kid that just wanted to bake. And it goes back to a man's gift will make room for him, it will put him or her before great men. And it's like, so here's one of the gifts about shifting markets. The people that are not passionate, this is the time to pivot.
Sure.
Right.
Some people are in mortgage and they realize they would be better suited for insurance or their CPA or work for the state or something different.
Right.
So if this is not your passion, because if it's your passion, you will be creative and you will push through.
Right.
You'll find a way.
You'll find a way.
Yeah, that's a good way to self-evaluate as well.
Yeah.
When this happens, and be able to have that courage to pivot and find what your true calling is.
Right. Well, and
Something better suited for
and
you.
if you find yourself in that situation and it's scaring you to the point where you don't want to pivot, then maybe this isn't the right path, and you have to find your passion.
So this is a tool that I use with my clients. I have a better version of this. It's challenge by choice.
Okay.
I actually learned this from my daughter's 6th grade camp. They went and did, what are they called? When you climb like a telephone pole.
Ropes course?
Ropes course.
Yes.
So they did a ropes course, and the leaders explained to the kids, they go, look, for some of you, just climbing the ladder, your heart's going to be beating, and that's going to be a success. So they said, picture 3 circles. The middle circle is the comfort zone. That's where you're not afraid at all.
Yeah.
It's like, that's easy. I can do it in my sleep.
Sure.
The one zone out is the growth zone. That's where you're scared. You're having courage. It's uncertain. You're taking a risk. But the furthest one out is the panic zone. And that's when you bite off more than you could chew. You're in too deep. It's now putting you in a threat response that is not healthy.
Right.
So that's, to your point, is
Right.
I use this model with people for them to, I did the wrong letters. It's supposed to be a C in the middle, comfort zone. G is the growth zone. Anyways,
Gotcha.
you got the point.
I got it.
So, but yeah, it's like, sometimes depending on what's happening in our life, maybe your industry, we're talking about mortgage and real estate, maybe that is your passion,
Right.
but other factors are going on in your life.
Sure.
So, okay, yeah, maybe you shift gears but use this model with the right letters. Determine, is this just the growth zone and I need to face it and be uncomfortable? Because eventually, if I stay in it long enough, like when you did your polar bear plunge, after a while, you probably found a somewhat comfortable way to.
I started on the outside of that P, though. I mean, I couldn't even breathe. And I was thinking, this is not a healthy response, but I got my breathing down and slid into the G, and then, never made it to the C, though. I was never comfortable. But yeah, no, exactly. I get what you're saying on that.
Yeah.
So that's good. I like that chart.
Yeah, I'll send you the PDF.
That'd be great.
It's much prettier than this,
No,
and it has
it's
the right letters.
Yeah, no, I think it's such a good time. I mean, you should always be evaluating what you're doing, but when things are so good that you can't make a valid case to get out of something if you don't like it or you're not good at it, it's hard. But when things start shifting, that's a perfect opportunity to assess that and be honest with yourself.
Yeah, and just speaking to the real estate community right now, which is like my little
Such a great
soft
industry.
spot.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah.
My favorite too.
Honestly, I've worked with a lot of different industries since I left real estate as a agent, and I just think, gosh, what a beautiful environment for people to grow in.
Yeah.
But if you speaking of different personality styles, my natural style is not data driven, but we can still access data, and you look at the historical data for real estate.
Yep.
And I'm going to tell you, this is not data, but something one of my very first mentors, he was like a millionaire that made money off of nothing, but he goes, Corry, he said, God quit making dirt, but he didn't quit making people. He's like, buy dirt. He goes, and think about it. We all want, we're ownership. We want to own where we live. And so people are going to want to keep buying real estate. And so we have something, there's always going to be a supply and demand for it. Will there be dips? Yes. But that's why we have to run our business like a business, and a lot of people, they don't run it like a business.
Yeah.
They run it like a hobby, and they no shame in your game, but it's like, when the market's great, it's like we get lazy and we don't do our services. We don't think about customer service or marketing or staying in touch with past clients. And then when it's bad, we're like, but if we stay professional and consistent and we run it like a business and we think of our identity as, I am a leader. I am leading, and I'm shaping the perception of my industry. Think of like attorney's perception. Think of CPA. Like, what are all the perceptions that we have? Right. But when you run it consistently and professionally, which you do, and I know that for a fact. I know that for a fact. You are influencing the rest of the world. Like, there are good insurance agents out there.
No, I agree. And I think getting back to what you got me all excited when you were talking about the industry of real estate and mortgages, let's put them together.
Yeah.
And what a powerful, I mean, it should always be this way, but you're right. People have gotten caught up in how crazy busy the market was the last 3 or 4 years. It was insane. But now's a perfect time to reassess why they love what they do.
Yep. Right.
And why they got into what they were doing and what they first fell in love with it. Probably over this craziness the last 4 years where they're pulling their hair out because, hundreds of offers and all the craziness going on.
Right.
They might have forgot about that or lost touch of that. And what a powerful and special thing to reconnect with that is, I've been in real estate for 20 years and this is why I got into it. I mean, they don't say it's the American dream, homeownership for nothing. That's everyone comes here, even from other countries, and they want to own the American dream, which is home ownership, right? I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And besides between lending and real estate, that's your job. Is you're helping people realize that dream. And it's incredible.
Oh yeah.
And you're right. Humans do love to own. It is different when you rent a place and when you own a place.
Absolutely.
The room feels different. It's watching
Everything.
TV at home is different. I mean, just everything about it's different. So it's a very powerful thing for a family structure, for an individual, all the above. And I think it's just such an incredible time to reassess and realize why they're doing this and find that passion again if they lost it. I mean, obviously there's a lot that haven't, but.
Well, and even going back to, okay, who is really going to work with you? Your highest rate of return is going to be to stay in touch with people that already know you, like you, and respect you.
Yep.
But that's the first people that we neglect.
Sure.
Right.
But when we stay in touch, think about how confused, scared, or how about this one, misled. How misled is our market.
Right.
Sure.
And how many people are not pulling the trigger where they need to or letting go where they are holding on. And if we are staying in touch with them, we can provide them the data. We can provide them the perspective to help them make a great decision. But when we're, thinking about ourselves, burying our head in the sand, distracted, or looking for some, all salespeople, they always want, and I don't mean to sound judgmental. I just have coached hundreds of salespeople over the years.
Go ahead. I like this.
Maybe thousands. And they'll get into a coaching session and they're like, I'm thinking about buying leads from this source. I'm always like, oh my gosh, call 100 people that know. Well, I don't have I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do this. Okay.
Exactly.
And then you call and you come from genuine, hey, are you going to be making any decisions in the next 12 to 18 months? Is there any data that I can provide to help you make an educated decision? That's coming from serving,
Yep.
not from, I only closed 2 deals last month. Can you refer me somebody at work it's just coming back to, why we do what we do.
Nope. Agree 100%. That's our whole social media strategy. I see a lot of people in our industry, even locally here in insurance specifically. Everything is buy, or fear, sell, right? And they're just hitting people with that. And our approach is, personalities. Let us get to know the team, educate.
Yeah, educate is
information, data. Because there's like in our industry, a lot of people are scared of homeowners insurance. It's just it's gotten crazy expensive.
Yeah.
They don't know if they're going to get non-renewed. So we put out that kind of information, and in return, we've built so much trust. And we get so many leads from our social media. People call in. I saw your video on our social media.
And those are
messages.
Some of my favorite clients to work with are the people, first-time homebuyers who are like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yes.
Help me. And I'm like, happily, let me.
I was on my parents'
walk
auto
through
policy.
it.
I've never had my own insurance, and I need to get homeowner insurance.
Tell
I'm
you
the
what
biggest
you
investment
need.
of my life.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, I remember when you were on my podcast and you talked about how with fire season and will you just tell that little story about how you created that solution with
Well, yeah, no, it's just, for us, I mean, the high fire division is what she's talking about. So, we just realized there's going to be a big need because it's a problem that's not going away. Right. A lot of our competitors stop doing that kind of business because it's time consuming, it's hard, it's not profitable from an agency standpoint if it's not done right. But there's such a need there, right? And getting back to purpose, educators, all the values that we have in our company. And so we doubled down and decided, hey, we're going to go all in and build a high fire division. So we went out and recruited and got Adam Levine, not from Maroon 5, but you would think he was. His attitude, I was kidding. But he comes in and leads, and we've really made sure to be on the forefront and one of the area leaders. There's a few really good people in our industry locally here, and just try to be that advocate, that beacon of light for people and help educate and navigate them through the process. And it's it's done well. I mean, we've built a lot of strong relationships in the community with other lenders and realtors, but also just our clients, right? So they know we're a place that they can trust and come to and get that information.
So just to be sure, everyday people understand it. So what's that type of insurance?
Oh, we call it, in our industry, it's called high fire insurance.
Okay.
But really, it's insurance in hard risk or hard to place areas,
Okay.
which, 5-7 years ago, you would just think out the cabins out in the middle of nowhere. But now it's, on I-80, it's Loomis and above, and Highway
Right.
50, it's really outside of Folsom and
Yeah.
above, or El
So
Dorado and above.
I kind of want to recap this in very simplistic terms for
Yes.
people like me.
Sure.
Okay. So high risk fire insurance
Correct.
used to be available, pretty easily accessible for people in those areas.
Yes, and affordable.
And affordable.
Right.
And then because the fires have been getting worse and worse, companies started closing their doors.
Correct.
And it makes it more expensive for people that need it.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah, not closing their doors, but limiting areas they will insure in. So there's
What does
less
this mean for a homeowner in one of those areas?
less options, and cost of insurance they've seen increase rapidly over the last 5
Yeah.
years. So some of them, the fair plan's the only option
Okay.
that they have. So you kind of get into these things, and what it is, and it's what the insurance carriers, and they're data driven,
Yeah.
deem high risk, high fire. So we have the argument all the time is, I live in the middle, there's no trees around me,
Subdivision.
Right.
and I'm in a subdivision, and absolutely, from a consumer standpoint, I understand what they're saying. Like, I'm not in a high fire zone, but to an insurance data driven,
It is.
it is. If a
It's-
fire captured in that area, the
Yeah.
wind mapping, the elevation, I mean, your whole subdivision can burn down. So
Well, and I want to highlight the way, because this is an example of you walking out exactly what we've been talking
Yeah.
about.
well, thank you.
It's tough.
Didn't think we were
it's-
going here, but this is good.
Yeah, like it's no. I love.
Way to spin it, Corey. Well done.
It's
You're
like,
excellent.
hey,
podcast
I
is
read
this?
on my pig story.
I'll give you the bottle of wine. Yes. Thank you.
No, because this is the thing. Like, it's kind of like, remember
Correct.
when we were kids and something bad happened
Yeah.
at home or school or whatever. What do kids do? We look around and we're like, who's in charge and
Yeah.
what are they going to do?
Yeah.
Right.
But we are they.
Correct.
Yeah.
We are. Yeah, no. And no, I see what you're saying. That's exactly right. So we're a lot of people are living that scarcity mindset in our industry. Is,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, no one can insure in California. It's just crazy. And they're running for the hills. No, we drew a line in the sand and said, no, we're gonna stay here. We're gonna fight, and we're gonna be here for the community we serve and the
Yeah.
people we serve. So
Yeah,
that's
and-
important for us.
yeah,
and our
and-
whole team. It resonates with everybody on our team.
Yeah. And I love that, and no shame in people that decide to pivot.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's
Correct.
and all we're doing
Wasn't a fit for them.
Right. And what we're saying is, in this podcast, it's for anyone listening, it's like who do you want to be and what impact do you want to create? And so when we face the facts and we face the reality of what might look like a powerless situation, a limited situation, who do I want to become as I approach not possible?
Yeah.
I want to be a person that always brings hope, that finds a way, think of Roger Bannister. I tell this story all the time. You know Roger Bannister?
I don't.
Okay, so Roger Bannister was the first person to break the 4-minute mile.
Oh, okay.
And prior to him, scientists had proven that the human heart was not capable of running a mile in under 4 minutes, because if you ran it, your heart would burst or, it'd be no good. So nobody ever broke the 4-minute mile because it was scientifically not possible. Well, Roger Bannister decided he was going to break the 4-minute mile.
He said, "Don't tell me what to do."
Yeah.
and look it up, Google it, because there's more to the story that's like fascinating. Like the wind conditions were bad. Like there was just all these barriers and obstacles.
Yeah.
But anyways, he broke the 4-minute mile. So then guess what? That same year, I think like 17 other people broke it.
Yeah.
And now high school kids do it.
Right.
So it's always not possible
So be
until
Mr.
Until it is.
Yes.
Go out there and
Yeah.
make it happen.
Yeah,
Exactly.
And if it's not your jam, if it's not your thing, then don't be Roger Bannister. But
Right.
find your Roger Bannister moment.
Yeah.
What's the thing in your life, in your business, in your career? What's the thing that you're like, I am going to be the pioneer. I am going to make a difference. And even if we just do one thing our entire life, have one moment, it's like we made our mark on the planet for humanity, and then generations to come are going to benefit from it.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to wrap up this podcast.
I know,
That was
I
a really
love
good closing statement. You got me all fired up. So go out there and be your Roger Bannister and go find a way to make an impact and a difference. So, Corry, it's been a joy.
Oh, thank you. This is
What's the best way for people to get a hold of you? What's your coaching business's name? I
gosh.
mean, what's the best way to get a hold of you for someone listening that's like, hey, I want to have a conversation?
At 3:30, I'm going to meet with somebody to help me be more focused.
Okay.
But I would say for now, choosevolition.com is my website.
Okay.
CHOOSE, like choose.
Okay.
Volition is the power of choice. And then, of course, social media.
Yeah.
Follow me on Facebook.
You'll see her and Rusty just being adorable with each other.
Instagram. We are failing forward.
Yeah.
Having fun doing it.
Fail your way to success. I love
That's
it.
right.
Well, thank you very much. I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast, and we'll be signing off. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Perfect.